The overall structure of the update method is similar to that of getHeroes, although we use an HTTP put to persist changes server side. So we will go to our service here, hero service. We have our getHero function. I don't like that it's separated by this error. Let's move that below. And now we will do the update. So update. We've passed in the hero and we hint using TypeScript that it's of type hero. This function, this method, I should say, is returning a promise of type hero. Okay, so in the update method, we set up a constant URL again, backtick path, pattern I should say, this dot heroes URL hero.id. So we created this pattern, and now in the response, or we return, we do what? We say this HTTP service. We're going to use a put method, pass in the pattern, use a JSON stringify function. So we're going to stringify this hero data, the single hero data. Headers, this dot headers. Okay, so I think we're configuring the headers that this put is about to do. And this put will return a observable, so we're going to convert that back to a promise. Then arrow function hero catch this handle error. Okay, so basically when we do the update, we set up this parameter, we set up this pattern, and we do the HTTP put method, but we have to pass in the pattern, this URL, and we pass in the data of this hero, but in a stringified form, and we also specify the header. Now this is failing, so we forgot to add this up here, so let's add that now. So this should probably go up to the top here with my other private variable, I should say. Okay, private headers is equal to new of type headers. And now this is not complaining because it's saying we set the headers to this dot headers, and this dot headers is here, which is of type headers, and this class headers we imported up here, and we specify this specific type of header, a JSON type. We identify which hero the server should update by encoding the hero ID in the URL. The put body is a JSON string encoding of the hero, obtained by calling JSON stringify. We identify the body content type, application JSON, in the request header. refresh and give it a try. Okay, reload. Let's go back to the home page. Click on something. Now when I save, I'm doing a put back to our imaginary API on a server somewhere far away. And there it is. That data is saved on the server. And then when we go back to this page, we do a request from the server to get that data, and the server knows that data is different, so it gives us back the different data. So we've gone out imaginarily to a new place and brought back that new data. Okay. Add a hero. We're going to create an add a hero button. To add a new hero, we need to know the hero's name. Let's use an input element for that and pair it with an add button. Insert the following into the heroes component HTML. First thing after the heading. So let's go back to here, our heroes component. Here, this is going to be markup. So okay, let's go into the HTML file. And right after the title, I think it said, after the heading, yeah, we'll put a div. What we open, we probably need to close. Create a label. And we will label it hero name. Close the label. And then we set up the input. So we have, oh, what's going on here? We have an input with an ID. So this is a Angular variable syntax with the templates. This is something new we haven't done yet. And then we set up a function called click, which will run the add function, which we pass in hero name dot value. And then we set hero name value back to blank, because oh, and let's put the little text add and close the button. Capital. So I think we have to reset the value back to nothing after we click this function, after this function runs, because if we left the data we just typed into this, if I put some, superhero name here, the next time we come back to add a hero, the last time we added a hero name would be stuck here forever. We can try it right away. Oh, we still haven't written this function yet. So let's add this function. So that is in the hero component. Let's do it here. Add. We have a new function. We pass in the name string. Name equals name dot trim. I don't know what that does yet. It's trimming it in some way. Now, if somebody didn't put anything into the input and we hit enter, this is going to cancel out of this function, so it doesn't save anything. I guess it's just like a little safety. This dot hero service create. So we have a new create function to write. We pass in the name. And then the response we get back, which will be a promise. We have a then. And then we have another arrow function. We set this heroes dot push to hero. So we're adding to an array. the new hero we've created. That's what push does. It adds it to the end of the array. Now I have something wrong. I think it's probably just this missing function we haven't written yet. So let's write that. And here it's explaining when the given name is non-blank, the handler runs as normal. Yeah, so it's just saying, it just makes sure this is not an empty name that we are trying to save. Finally, we create the create method in the hero service. So in the service, we have these functions. Let's create a new one called create. And we return this.http. So we're doing a post here. So we're saving, so we're posting. Same pattern as before. We have to put in a pattern. We have to put in a header. We convert it to a promise, and we use a then to handle the response. Something is not right. Oh, I forgot to put the little close. Oh, we have one. We have this already. So what is wrong? Okay, so let's backtrack here. This HTTP, we do a post. Inside the post, let's make this wider so we can see. All this is specified now. I'm thinking it's something to do with this because I don't see the equivalent. Yeah, this here. That's all it was. That little missing thing makes this whole thing look like it's blown up. Weird. All right, so it says refresh the browser and create some new heroes. So reload. Did I save here? Yeah. So when we go to the heroes detail is no, where is we modified the heroes component. Where does that go? Here it is. At the top of the heroes component, we added this label, we added this input, and an add button. I'm going to do a Captain America. We're going to add it. Error. All right, let's not panic. The error says then is not defined in our heroes component HTML. All right, heroes component HTML. Then What then? Line 4, is it saying? Okay, so maybe in the component file, maybe something wrong in this here. When we save, no, it was the add function. So that would be here in the add function. Something's wrong here because of the then is usually attached to a promise of some sort. So let's go back to the, well, we can try to reason it out. So when we run this function add, we pass in the name, Captain America. It trims it. Still don't know what that means. It double checks to make sure I didn't put an empty name. Then this hero service function or method, which we created, we pass in the name. So this then is a bit, doesn't make sense here. This should be a promise and a response. So let's go back to the tutorial. So this curly brace is not right. That then should be part of this block here. This curly brace is also being a problem, I think. Let's double check here. Create name, then hero, and then the arrow function. We push the hero, but because we do have this curly brace to close, I think that goes here. And then the semicolon, is that what's happened? No? And then this is one too many. All right. So the problem was I had this curly brace here that was not necessary because dot then should be coming right after this because it's part of this service, not inside of an object. And then we had another problem where it was this closing thing was in the wrong place. I think it was outside. Okay, we fixed that. So now this app should run. Captain America, add. There it is. It works. Captain America is my hero. We can view the details. We can go back and back to home page. Works. Deleting a hero. Too many heroes. Let's add a delete button to each hero in the heroes view. Add this button to the markup. So I know that's going to be in this heroes component HTML next to the hero's name somewhere. Add this button element to the heroes component HTML. So that's where we are, heroes component HTML. Right after the hero name in the repeated ally. So in the repeated ally here, the name is here, so we're going to add a button. Some CSS styling on it, and a function. Click. I think this was supposed to be in brackets. equals, and we specify the delete function. Let's make this smaller so I can see while I'm typing here. Delete hero. Okay. And this event stop propagation. No, I'm not spelling that right. Propagation. And a little X button. Oh, come on. All right. This, I think, just prevents what this will do is this will run this function, but that's it. After the function runs, it'll stop propagating this click event further. Because I think because of this is being inside of this li, if we didn't have this here, I think it'll also click the act of clicking on this button will also trigger the click on this li. But by having this, we say, okay, you've done this. Don't respond to the click on this surrounding div. So just stop right here. Don't do this as well. In addition to calling the component's delete method, the delete button click handling code stops the propagation of the click event. We don't want the li click handler, this guy. We don't want the li click handler to be triggered because that would select a hero that we are going to delete. So now we have to create the delete handler in the heroes component. So back to the heroes component TypeScript file. We're going to create a delete method. Now this delete is probably type void again, probably. Yep. And we pass in the hero that we are going to delete. We hint the type, the class type, the TypeScript thing to do that. Okay. Now this hero service, we are going to first delete the specific hero.id. And when that is done, it's going to be a promise. So we have or an observable. No, it's a promise. So then we use then. And inside that then, we will use an arrow function. And inside that arrow function, we will set this dot heroes equals this dot heroes dot filter. And inside of this filter function, we have to do some other arrow function. H, passing in H is not equal to H. Nope, not equal to hero. Okay. If this dot selected hero is equal to, triple equal, so there equal to the hero. I'm just going to type this out and then reason it out in a moment. This dot selected hero is equal to null. And all this stuff is already closed. Now we still don't have this hero method, which we have to still create. Of course, we delegate hero deletion to the hero service, but the component is still responsible for updating the display. It removes the deleted hero from the array and resets the selected hero if necessary. We want our delete button to be placed at the far right of the hero entry. This extra CSS accomplishes that. Okay, so this CSS has to go into the heroes component CSS somewhere here. Okay. And then the delete method that we just referenced here has to be added to the service. So let's go back to our service here. Delete. The ID that we want to delete. We create another constant URL, another pattern, backtick, $. And we return this HTTP delete URL headers, this.headers, and then with this we're going to have a then. No, not a then. We're going to have a to promise. Then we have a then. Then we catch any errors. So let's reason this out. We have a function or method called delete. We tell it which hero we want to delete. We set up this pattern again, which is the hero's URL. I still don't quite get this yet, but it must be specific to the API in-memory thing that we're using. Then we return this HTTP delete. So this is the call. So this would be a function on the API. If this was a remote server, okay, so we delete, we pass in the pattern, we have set the headers, then we have a to promise. Now this, we just do nothing with the response that we get. We do nothing with it, and we just handle the error. I think that's what's happening. Each HTTP service method returns an observable of HTTP response objects. Our hero service converts that observable into a promise and returns a promise to the caller. In this section, we learn to return the observable directly and discuss why and when and why that might be a good thing to do. So yeah, I did notice we were using a lot of promises. And I know Angular2 seems to prefer observables. An observable is a stream of events that we can process with array-like operators. Angular Core has basic support for observables. We developers augment that support with operators and extensions from the RxJS library. We'll see how shortly. We recall that our hero service quickly changed the toPromise operator to the observable and result of HTTP GET. That operator converted the observable into a promise, and we passed that promise back to the caller. Converting to a promise is often a good choice. We typically ask HTTP GET to fetch a single chunk of data. When we receive that data, we're done. A single result in the form of a promise is easy for the calling component to consume, and it helps that promises are widely understood by JavaScript programmers. But requests aren't always one and done. We may start one request, then cancel it, and make a different request before the server has responded to the first request. Such a request cancel new request sequence is difficult to implement with promises. It's easy with observables, as we'll see. we're going to add a hero search feature to the tour of heroes. As a user types a name into the search box, we'll make repeated HTTP, that's hard to say, HTTP requests to heroes for heroes filtered by that name. We start by creating hero search service that sends search queries to our server's web API. So let's go to our hero search service, which we haven't created yet, so let's create one. Hero dash search. I can't type. Okay. Service.ts. In here, we will again import injectable from the Angular core. We will import HTTP from the Angular HTTP service. We will import observable from RxJS. Then we will import that map operator, rxjs/add/operator/map. Then we will import the hero class, so we know what we're talking about when we refer to a hero. Now we have to add this injectable, and we have to export our class that we're creating right now called heroes search. Oh no, a single hero search service. Nope, it's not a function, it's a class. Okay. So we set up a constructor. We pass in private HTTP of type HTTP. We don't do anything in the constructor, we just pass it in. And then we set up a function, our new method, called search. We pass in the search term that we want to do the search for. It's going to be a string. And this whole method that we're creating now will be a observable of type hero, which is an array. Then we return this.http. So this is where the search happens. When we run this function, this method will send us back an observable, but it's from the get method, which needs to have a pattern app heroes name equals term. Then we map that response as a hero array. The HTTP GET call in our hero search service is similar to the one in the hero search service, although the URL now has a query string. A more important difference, we no longer call toPromise. Instead, we return the observable from the HTTP GET. Look at that, they have a typo. HTTP GET. It's as hard to type as it is to pronounce. After changing it to another RxJS operator map to extract heroes from the response data. RxJS operator chaining makes response processing easy and readable. Okay, so let's create our hero search component that calls this new hero search service. So we need to create a new component. In here, we will have a div. We'll start with a div. With an ID. Search component. Hero search. Put in an input box. We have a variable called search box. ID equals search box. I prefer camel case, but they like this, what do they call this, kebab case. And then key. Okay, so here's a new Angular, what do they call this, binding, key up binding equals search box dot value. We terminate that. Okay, div, another div. Now this div will have a ng for loop. So star ng, I guess this is the results. Yep, I think, yep. Once we fill it in, once we fill in the search input box, we'll get the results here. Let hero of heroes. Now this is new. What is this pipe? Async. Then we have a click function, which should be in parentheses. And in the function, we go to detail. And we pass in the hero we want to see the details of. And for styling, we add a class. Result. And we have the hero.name. Close the div. Save. This matches. Okay, sorry, this is wrong. What's going on? This matches. So we need one more div there. So we will have to add a style for this. So let's create a new file.